A young man once stood at the edge of a cliff, ready to end his life. Why? Because someone told him he was worthless. Just words, sounds that traveled through air and landed in his ears. But here's what nobody tells you. The most dangerous weapon in the world isn't a bullet. It's a belief you accept without question. And right now you're carrying beliefs about yourself, about what's possible, about who you are, that aren't even yours. Someone handed them to you, and you've been living like they're law. Let me ask you something. How many times have you held yourself back because someone said you weren't smart enough, creative enough, experienced enough? You've heard it, haven't you? You're not cut out for that. People like us don't do things like that. Be realistic. And here's the thing. You know it's not true. Deep down beneath the doubt, there's a voice that whispers, "But what if I could?" Yet you silence it because somehow the opinion of someone who isn't living your life carries more weight than your own soul's calling. You've made yourself smaller, quieter. You've turned down opportunities. You've apologized for your dreams, all because you believed a story someone else told about you. But what if I told you that story is fiction? Let me tell you about a farmer in ancient India. This farmer had a prized horse, strong, fast, valuable. One day, the horse broke free and ran into the mountains. The neighbors came rushing over. "What terrible luck. How will you plow your fields? You are ruined." The farmer looked at them calmly and said, "Maybe, maybe not." A week later, the horse returned. But he didn't come back alone. He brought 12 wild horses with him. The farmer's wealth had multiplied overnight. The neighbors returned, celebrating. "What incredible luck. You're rich. The gods favor you." The farmer said, "Maybe, maybe not." The next day, the farmer's only son tried to tame one of the wild horses. He was thrown off, broke his leg badly. The bone shattered. He'd never walk the same again. The neighbors came back, faces full of pity. "What horrible misfortune. Your only son crippled. Who will help you in your old age?" The farmer said, "Let audience anticipate. Maybe, maybe not." The following week, the emperor's army swept through the village, conscripting every able-bodied young man for a brutal war. A war where most would not return. The farmer's son, with his broken leg, was passed over. His life was spared. The neighbors said nothing this time because they finally understood. Here's what this ancient story reveals. Every judgment you hear is just someone's incomplete narrative, a story created from limited information, processed through their fears, their biases, their own broken experiences. When someone tells you you can't, they're not stating a universal truth. They're sharing their story. The story of their limitations, their regrets, their surrender. Their ceiling is not your sky. Think about this. Right now in this moment, you're being written about in someone else's mind. Your coworker has a story about you. Your family has a story about you. Your ex has a story about you. None of those stories are complete. None are objective. And here's the crucial part. None of them are you. You know who you really are? You're the one holding the pen. You're not the character in their story. You're the author of your own. So when someone tells you who you are, you get to say, "That's an interesting perspective, but I'm writing a different story." The farmer didn't react to opinions because he understood something profound. The truth of any situation reveals itself over time, not in the immediate judgment. I wasted years of my life reacting to every opinion, every criticism, every sideways glance. I made decisions based on what others might think. I killed dreams before they could breathe because someone raised an eyebrow. And you know what I learned? Most of what I feared people thought about me. They weren't thinking at all. They were too busy worrying about their own lives. The opinions that haunt you are often the ones that were never spoken, just imagined. Now I know what you're thinking, but what if the criticism is true? What if I really am not good enough? Here's the reframe. Even if the criticism contains truth, it's still just data, not destiny. You're not good enough yet, is different from you're not good enough period. One is an observation, the other is a verdict. And here's the real question. Who gave anyone the authority to issue verdicts about your potential? Did they live your life? Do they see the hours you're willing to put in? Do they know the fire that burns in you at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep because the dream won't let you rest? No, they don't. So why are you giving them a vote in your future? Here's what you're going to do today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today, step 1, write down one limiting belief you've been carrying. Just one, the one that shows up most often. I'm not creative. I'm bad with money. I'm not a leader. Write it down. Step 2, ask yourself, who told me this? Trace it back. Was it a teacher who was burned out? A parent who was projecting their own fears? A partner who felt threatened by your growth? Step 3, next to that old belief, write this. This is someone else's story. I'm writing a new one. Because here's what's waiting on the other side of this shift. A version of you who walks into rooms differently, who speaks up when before you would have stayed silent, who tries things, fails, learns, and tries again, not because you're fearless, but because you've stopped outsourcing your truth to people who don't know your path. Imagine 6 months from now. You've pursued the thing you kept talking yourself out of. Maybe you failed 3 times. Maybe you've succeeded once. But you're different now, not because of the outcome, but because you finally stopped living in other people's fiction. Remember that young man at the cliff? He stepped back, not because someone told him he was worthy, but because he decided to stop believing he wasn't. Not everything you hear is true, but everything you believe becomes your reality. Choose your beliefs like your life depends on it, because it does. Now go write your real story.